Hey everybody, Carla with Karla's Clever Crafts. Today we're going to be making a project using this evergreen wreath base. We're going to make a fabulous, very elaborate St. Patrick's Day wreath. If St. Patrick's Day is not your thing, you will still probably want to watch this video. The design techniques and some of the things that we're going to be doing can be used for any season or holiday. We're also going to be using this fabulous Ring for Beer sign. It's got a nice little bell and says Happy St. Patrick's Day. But again, if beer's not your thing, you could use this sign and just use any sign that you wanted to and just coordinate your ribbons to match that. Real quick before I jump into the project and get started, I do want to remind everybody that I'm doing a giveaway on my page. The giveaway is open for entry until February 10th. And I have nice gift baskets for men, Nivea men products and all other kinds of goodies in there. And then I have one for women that has Bath and Body Works products in it. Little black dress is the scent. And then it comes with a super cute little plush teddy bear. And you also get a Valentine's Day card that includes the envelope and everything with it. So pretty much a complete Valentine's Day packet. So if you're interested in entering the giveaway, just hit Karla's Clever Crafts at the top of the video and go over to my page. And when you scroll down, I have pinned to the top the post that gives the description of what you need to do to enter into that drawing. The drawing will be held on February 10th during a future live event that I'm going to be doing at that time. So make sure you do not miss out on that opportunity. And there will be 3 winners. I have 3 different prizes. You can see them on the post when you go over to my page. So increases your chances of winning because there will be 3 that will be chosen. Okay, so this is a very large project we're undertaking. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to be making, this wreath will probably end up being 30 plus inches in diameter. So it will take us a while. I'm dividing it up into a 2-part video series for that reason. Let me try to get a good angle. Okay. So today's video is actually part 1 of this project. And I have done some work ahead of time to kind of get us a jump start. So I will go into that here in just a little bit. First, I wanted to go over this wreath base that I'm going to be using. I did purchase this. It's a Christmas. It was purchased after Christmas during clearance sales. Both Walmart and Hobby Lobby, if you don't know, do major discounts on their Christmas items the day after Christmas. And then they do another, I think Hobby Lobby goes to 75% that day and Walmart goes to 50%. And then a week later, approximately, Walmart goes to 75% off and Hobby Lobby goes to 90% off. So that is a good time if you're able to stock up on supplies, which is what I did. So we're working with, this is a 24-inch pre-lit Norway, and it's battery-operated LED wreath that has, let's see, it's clear lights, and the lights have 5 different functions. Now, I don't have batteries in this one, but I'm going to show you those lights on the one that I've already started to get us going today. When you flip it over, this wreath frame does have the double rings inside, 2 rings. I have purchased them before with just 1 ring. I will tell you, I do not like those. Everything is too flimsy and moves around. It is hard to stabilize all of your attachments and things that you want to add. So I do recommend the 2 ring. And then here it has the battery pack, and it has a metal bar here that holds the battery pack in secure. You can just slide it in and out, put your batteries in. Comes with instructions. It also has a timer where you can have it set to stay on for 6 hours, off for 18. So you get the instructions with that. Oh, and then the measurement of the wire part is 15 inches in diameter, but when you fluff it out, that's where you get your total 24-inch diameter with your pine needles. Okay, so that's about it for what we're going to be using as the base, at least until I'm ready to demonstrate the lights. Will be here in just a minute. First, I want to go over the sign. This sign came from Big Lots. It was something that they had last year. Again, it was an after the holiday Christmas or St. Patrick's Day clearance item that I purchased. The regular price for this sign was $8 at Big Lots. I don't remember what percentage I got off, so I'm not sure what I actually paid. But it's pretty thick wood, so it's not something I'm going to be able to use my metal hole punch to go through. I don't like to drill holes in my signs because I like to keep them intact so they can be used. If somebody decides they want to repurpose the wreath, or they're done with the wreath but they want to keep the sign, they can. And so what I've done, I've already done it ahead of time because I had to give the glue time to set up and make sure this is good and secure before we were ready to start working with it. But on the top part here, because it is in two pieces just attached together with this piece of ribbon, I have put a pipe cleaner on each side, and then on the bottom part, because it's bigger and a little bit heavier, I went ahead and did 4 to make sure I have good secure attachment. I may even add some glue when we get to that point. I haven't fully decided yet. But to tell you how that I did this to secure it down and make sure that these are not coming off, I first used E6000, and I put a pretty good glob of that in each of my spots. And this is the reason that I had to do this in advance, is because E6000 takes a while to set up. Now, I only did this a couple hours ago, and I'm still going to be able to work with this, even though E6000 takes about a full 24 hours to cure completely. But the reason that I'm going to be able to go ahead and work with it is because once I put the little glob of the E6000, then I came in with my just standard size pipe cleaner. And let me see if I can get comments here. Hey Brian, hey Mom. So I just take my pipe cleaner and I fold it in half. And then I just kind of V it out a little bit, and I'm going to put this little corner section here right into the E6000 glue. I don't know why this is showing my view differently today. Maybe I need to click it again and open it large. Okay, so then I'm going to take this, and I also save, this is awkward, I should have had this available to show you. When I have little extra ribbon pieces that I'm not really going to be able to use on a project, I save those, keep them in this little box. And so the little things that you see there are literally just pieces of ribbon. So say I had this, for example, I just cut it in small sections big enough to do my attaching. And then I have my E6000. I place my pipe cleaner at a V shape into the E6000. Take my glue gun, hot glue gun, and I put a very liberal amount over that. Now, then I'm going to place my cut piece of ribbon down on there, but always protect your hands when you're doing this part. Gloves, these little, these are like silicone and they protect from heat. Also, your glue doesn't really stick to these. It stays on your project instead of on your fingertips. And you're just going to push it down and spread the hot glue out until you have sealed down the entire piece of ribbon around and over top of your pipe cleaner. Make sure that you get that pipe cleaner in your glob of E6000, because that's what gives you your more secure hold. And that is all I did. I repeated that same process 6 times on this sign. How many times you do it really would depend on the size and the weight of your sign. So now that I've explained how to do that, I'm going to lay this to the side. And I'm going to show you what I've started with our evergreen wreath base. This is going to be our first step. And this, as you can see, is already getting full and fluffy and thick and wide. So I went ahead and started part of it and left this section here so that I could show you guys how to do this first step. I'm first going to flip over here and pull out the battery pack. The battery pack, like I was telling you, it has 5 different modes for the batteries, and I have put batteries in here. It has this little button we just push to see our different modes. So I'm going to try to demonstrate that on the camera for you. So there we have a twinkling, and then a fast flash, and then like a fade away. And there's another flash pattern. And then we have solid, where they stay lit continuously, and then off. And it's that simple. Now, I will be selling this wreath once it's finished, and I always save the instructions and the paperwork that comes with the wreath base when I'm using these, and include that for my customer so that they'll know how to operate the timer and the functions. Make sure I'm putting this back in right. And I pushed it back on, so turn it off for now. Okay. Okay, so that is that. I have the instructions are here. I cut those off and laid them to the side. I'm going to save those. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut off the description tag here. I saved just to show you guys what I used. Again, this is a Norway evergreen. Because I got this at Christmas, and that's not an option for you now, I wanted to mention a couple places where you can get evergreen wreaths throughout the year, even when it's not Christmas. One place that I knew you can do that is Deco Exchange. If you go to decoexchange.com, they offer all types of evergreens and grapevine wreath frames, and the prices are very reasonable. I have found so far. I've only been on there a couple times, but they do seem to have good pricing on their wreath bases. And then I think Craft Outlet might carry these too. But if you're looking for one and you want to do this project and you can't find one, reach out to me in the comments or the messages. I will certainly help you locate one and provide you with a link. Now right now I'm just doing, if you've ever done an evergreen wreath for Christmas or bought one at the store, you always have to fluff them out, and so that's what I'm doing. And I'm making sure for our purposes that I'm pulling branches to the inside and the outside, stretching them out to get their full length. And then I'm also making sure that I pull some up in the middle here. Okay, so once we fluff it all out, we're ready to add all of this beautiful mesh color in. So I'm going to show you how I did that. I did this in 3 sections. So we're going to talk about how we did that, and I'm going to try to do this at an angle that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so on the outside, here's our middle, and here's our inside. So we went around 3 times. So here I'm trying to follow my collar pattern as consistently as possible, and I did light green here. So after the light green would come, this is actually a cream colored mesh, but when it's in here beside all of these greens and the gold, it looks more white. I had cut this mesh for another project and then decided not to use it on that project, and so I thought, I already have that part of the work done, we'll just use it on this one. So I did. Now we're going to be doing the cruffle method, but differently from how I have showed you in my other videos. We're just going to do like a big curl on the end and roll them in. It's hard for me to do it in this angle. A couple big curls on each end, and then just scrunch it up in the middle. So it's going to just kind of look like that. Then you're going to take it with the curls up. Now, in the past, I have told you to put curls down. In this design, we're putting the curls up. And I'm going to go in here and just find the 2 tines that are the closest to my last piece. I want to put them in close because we're filling this thing clear full. When you place them in for this design, make sure you put your finished edges to the left and right. Don't go the other way because you end up with a very awkward look on the outside of your wreath form. So make sure finished edges to the right and left. Now I'm going to just reach in here and find my next 2 that I want to use. Make sure I got these all spread out. So it looks like my next two's right there. So I did light green, cream, and then my next color is dark green. And I'll talk about where I got these. The light green, dark green, and the cream colored, or what looks like white, came from BB Crafts. It is their value mesh, and it is about, I want to say, between $3 and $4 per roll. The roll is 10 inches wide, and, oh, I didn't do that on camera. About 10 inches wide and 10 yards long. So that is where those three came from. Now I cut each of these pieces to 16 to 17 inches, but I did want to mention that I may cut them a little longer on my next wreath. I think if I had cut them longer, say 22, 24 inches, I may have gotten away with only doing 2 rows instead of having to do 3 rows. But there's also another aspect to that, is that you're going to have less disbursement of your color. You're going to have bigger splotches of green, and then, you know, you're not going to have the intermixing of the colors. I hope that makes sense, because you're going to basically have a big green and a big cream and a big light green and a big gold. So with doing the shorter pieces, you get the 3 rows and a better mix of the colors throughout. But when we get to the end of this, you're going to see that it's going to be a lot of this covered up. So that's really just a personal preference, but I thought I would mention that. And in a future live, I do plan, I'm going to do this on the table because I think maybe you'll be able to see better, and maybe even use my clip. So I do plan to try one with the longer pieces of mesh, and just see. I've never done one of those. Actually, this design, I've been referring to this as like a deluxe wreath. I don't know if that's really the name for it, but it is so huge and magnificent and beautiful and has so many things added to it. It seems deluxe to me. So, and I'm just doing 2 big curls and then just bunching that middle together, placing the curls up, pushing it way down into those pine needles or tines, and then I'm just twisting the tines around the mesh. 1, 2 to hold them, and then I'm just pushing my mesh all over together. And I'm going to do the outside first. Let's see. Yeah, I think that I'll use these 2. Okay, so we did dark green, and now we need gold. Now, the gold I'm going to do a little bit differently, and I'll explain why. I had pre-cut this also for another project, and I had a lot of this mesh already cut to 10 inches by 10. It's 10 inch wide mesh, and I had cut it 10 inches long. So what I did is I did the loose curl. I'm going to basically do 2 loose curls and then just scrunch them together so that I can use up this mesh and not have it torn up trying to store it or, you know, waste it. I can use it in this project and not have to cut other mesh. Okay, so I'm just going to put them together and scrunch them together in the middle like that, and then just place them in the same way. So finished edges to the right and left, push them way down in your pine base. And I'm fairly new to using these pine bases. I've watched tons of other wreath makers use these. I always loved them and thought they came out beautiful. I've done a few now of my own and think they're absolutely gorgeous. I did a giveaway of a Valentine's Day wreath a week or so ago, and it was made on one of these pine bases. Only thing is, I don't think that one was lit. This one actually came with the lights as well. So I'm getting my next 2 ready, and this will use a lot of mesh. Oh, I wanted to mention this gold mesh. This actually came from Craft Outlet. I believe it's about $6 or $7 for 10 yards. It's 10 inches wide. So craftoutlet.com is where you can find that gold if you wanted to use that. Okay, now I think I'm back to light green. Big curl on this end. I'm gonna clip it and turn it around. And you can do this in your hands, holding it up against your chest. That's actually what I was doing earlier, but realized that I was off camera. And I want you guys to be able to see how to do the technique. You just scrunch it together and put it in the same way, pushing it down into the pine needles. Push your mesh over together and find your next two. Okay, so we did light green. We're back to the cream or white color. And with this, placing them in the pine, you are going to be a little bit rough with your mesh. And so one downside I noticed to using the value mesh is obviously a much lower cost mesh, and I love it for filler, like on the base of this wreath. However, because you do have to be so rough with it, putting it in here, pushing it down, it does tend to fray more than, say, another mesh that may be a little bit more expensive. And you end up having to do more trimming of your ends. It takes you more time. So depending on whether you have more money or more time, if you have more time, go with the value mesh. If you don't care as much about the budget, then buy you a higher quality mesh because it'll make this part easier for you. I'm a fan of the value mesh though, especially for the bases of my wreaths. I'm able to give my customers a much better price point when I use value mesh as like the filler. Okay, we did the white or the cream, so now dark green. Roll in each end, trying to keep it even as much as possible, then just scrunch it together like that. Place it in. I did this series in a two-part because it does take a while, and I also want some, when we start adding all the goodies and stuff, you know, I'm not an expert on that area at all, and I thought maybe that was something with viewers could help give feedback and input, like put it there, no, don't put it there, move it over there, use the sign here, put the bow there. I think today, once we get this mesh in, we are going to be going ahead and making a bow and probably placing in some ribbon tails around the outer edge. And then I'll see, I'm hoping to also get the sign placed today so that then our live tomorrow would be just full of adding goodies and making it absolutely magnificent. Okay, scrunching them together. Finding my next two pine needles closest to the piece I had just put in, pushing it down in there. Make sure you're twisting those pine needles. Some of them are shorter than others, but make sure you're still able to give it, you know, two good twists. Okay, so let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just trying to see which needles to use here at the end because I don't want to take too much from the middle or the inside. Okay, so I think this one will go into these two. Okay, we did gold, so now we're back to light green, and I'm just rotating the pattern. I like to try to keep my colors dispersed out evenly. You'll see when we go to the middle ring and the inner ring that it's not always possible to keep the pattern the same. I'll explain that when we get to that point. To me, though, the pattern is not as important as the equal distribution of your various colors. scrunch it together. Take your clip off. Right finished edges, remember, we're doing right to left with the finished edges. The finished edges is the part that you have not cut. So your cut edges are rolled underneath in your curls to prevent fraying, and then your finished edges are what the edges from the manufacturer. They're more secure, less likely to fray and come apart. So those are the edges I'm talking about. The finished edges go to the right and left. Okay, so we've done light green, and now we need cream. And I think one more there might do it. Let's put it in there and see. And again, normally if you followed my videos, I don't think you can see me making these. I typically do a tight roll in my other wreath designs I've showed you. For this one, you're just doing a great big loose curl. Same thing on the other end. I call this a messy crumple. And then we're just going to squeeze it all together in the middle. Don't have to scrunch it accordion style or anything like that. Just scrunch it all together. Make sure your ends are under good. And then finished edges to the right and left. Push that mesh down in there real good. Twist these pine needles around. I do 2 times. Bunch it together there. And yeah, I think that is good for our outside. So there's where we ended, and that's our outside row. So now we have just this little section left here. And we're going to come in on the second row. And on the second row here, I have light green. And so that means that I need a cream right here. And I'm going to try to place this so that it's right above the gold. And the reason is because I don't want to put cream right above cream in my next section. So I don't want to have the 2 colors together if I can help it. So I'm going to try to make sure that the cream goes over top of this gold here. And then I'm going to find the 2 needles that I think will help me to do that the best. Should probably be these 2. And so then I'm going to try to move this monster so I can make sure I'm in the camera angle so you guys can see this. Big curl, clip it, turn it over. Again, just big curl, and then just crunch it all together. So you have a messy crumple. Okay, so over here is where I need to be. Finished edges to the right and left still. Push it way down in there and twist your pine needles real good around it a couple times. Push the mesh together and find your next ones. Okay, so there's one. Okay, so I think I'll use these 2. And then after the cream is the dark green. I might have to move stuff off my table, you guys, to have this whole thing fit so you can see the whole design. Okay. Thank you, Mom. Wait till you see the end result of this one. It is truly fabulous. I love this new venture that I've taken on doing these larger, more deluxe wreaths. Okay, I think I was going to go with, that's not right. Oh, over here. I'm in the wrong place. Let me fix my mesh here because it was mixing me up. Push that out where it belongs. Okay, right here is where we go. Try not to lose your spot because that's a good way to get your color combos off. Okay. Push it up together. Find your next two. I'm going to work with those two right there. And then after the green comes the gold. Okay. And I'm doing curls with this 10-inch pieces of gold that I cut, but I'm doing them big so that they're like the other pieces of mesh we added, even though they're cut differently. Finish edges to the right and the left, just like with the other pieces. Push it down in there and secure it really good. Some of the greenery will fall off of your needles when you're working with it and tugging and pulling on it the way that I am, and that's perfectly okay. Not going to see a lot of that greenery when we're all done anyway. All right, so we did gold, and then we need light green, and here again, I'm going to make sure I line this light green up over top of this dark green, trying to keep my colors dispersed out evenly. Crunch it all together. Place it in the exact same way. Okay. Those pine needles were a little bit short, so I had to really work in there to get that twisted in. Here we have a piece of the gold unraveling, so I'm going to snip that off. Okay. Now we did light green. Our next is the cream. Probably can't see me again. This thing is huge, guys. Hard to reach over and work around, and we have just started on this thing. Okay. So put this cream in here. There it is. I lost my pine needle. Okay, push that together. And let's see, this is the inside row. I need to push that back up there out of my way. And then after the cream comes dark green. Those two to put a dark green one in here right above this off-white or white cream. And this piece of green, I can already tell I got to the end of a roll, and so I just cut the piece that was left in half, which makes them longer than the 16 to 17 inches I cut the rest. But it will still work just fine, and I didn't want to waste or cut off just a few inches. So I just went with it. Oh, curls up. That's another thing I need to keep reminding. My other videos, a lot of those designs have you placing the curls down. This one is actually curls up. push this over. Let's see. That goes down there, I think. Hold on. Yes, that goes down there. This one goes up here. And so I think that that gives us enough coverage here on the second row as well. So now we have just these few pine needles here in the center that we're going to come in and fill in. I'm going to do the same thing and try to follow the pattern. Now you'll see here I have green against green. I try to avoid that, but it sometimes will invariably happen. It's okay. It's not, you know, in the end it's not going to ruin your design. You won't even notice that. Okay, so the last one I placed on the inside ring over here is the gold. So I'm going to come in now with the light green again. When I get all of these on here, I'll try to do an approximate count of how many total pieces of the mesh that we're using, so that if you do want to try this design, you can do so. Keep in mind this value mesh is thinner than some of the higher quality, higher priced meshes that you may purchase. So if you choose to go with a mesh other than the value mesh, you may use less. So really your cost may even come out to be the same because you'll get more coverage with less. Push that over, and then normally, okay, here is what I was talking about where you might have to stray from your pattern. Normally following the light green would be cream, but I have cream right here. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and do, let's see, got gold here. I'm probably going to do a dark green here, and then I'll do cream on the other side of it. So I'm just going to mix it up. And then also I wanted to show you something that you can do with this design. When you get to the end of your mesh roll and you have, which happens to me frequently, these little ends. You think those aren't big enough really to do much with. A lot of people throw them away. I don't. I save them like I save just about everything. And then these just naturally roll up into 3 curls. So I'm going to take 3 of these. I'm just going to scrunch them together, and I'm going to use them right in here, right in the middle of this wreath. And you're not even going to know when this design is all done that I did that. And it uses up those end pieces, saves me some cost on cutting another piece of mesh to put in there, and it will still look fabulous. And so see, here's where I place that. You really can't tell. Doesn't look that much different. Once we add all of our attachments, it won't be known that I used my scrap pieces there. Okay, so our next piece then, I'm going to go ahead and come in with the off-white. Piece of mesh got kind of messed up. That's okay though. We're going to roll that edge under. That won't be noticeable either. Put our clip. Fix the clip. Roll our other end. Scrunch it all together. Take our clip off, stick it in, put right in the 2 pine needles right next to the last piece of mesh that you placed in. If anybody has any questions, or if there's anything that I'm forgetting to cover, please, shoot me a comment or a message if you're more comfortable with that, and I will certainly answer as many as I can during the live, and any that I don't get to, I will answer after. Okay, so now we've done the light green, dark green, and the white, we're going to come in here now with some gold. And we're going to be butting up against this gold, but I think it's okay. It will still be dispersed out enough. And one more time with the 10-inch pieces. And you could potentially cut these 10-inch pieces and do this method all the way around it without doing the messy cruffle. It's really, you know, as a designer, you can really do whatever you want. You know, take my ideas and suggestions and things I show you and put your own spin on them. You know, come up with your own creations. So squeeze that together. And remember that, you know, this is not only a design for St. Patrick's Day. You can use this for any holiday, any season, any special occasion, baby being born, it's a boy, it's a girl, really just anything. You make a nice wedding decoration, gift for a loved one. Okay, so we did the gold. Now we're back to the light green, and I'm glad we're near the end because I'm starting to get low on mesh. Light green. Roll the end. Trying to get where you can see me. Okay. Oh, and my clip came off. I think I grabbed the wrong clip. Some of my clips are stretched out. They don't hold as well. Switch it. Well, that one might do better. There's not a lot of material in there for it to hold on to either, so that might be why it slipped off. Okay. Make sure that we don't lose our spot, that we're coming right in next to the piece we just did. Do this light green. And then push it over and see what we got. I feel like there's a pretty big area there, so I feel like we need one more piece in here in these tons. So I'm going to go ahead after the light green. Normally comes the cream. We switched it here to balance out our colors, but I'm going to go ahead this time and just come in behind the light green following my pattern with the cream. I still have a bunch of this cream cut up, you guys. Look, I'm going to have to use it in another design soon to use all that up. That happens when I think I have in mind what I want a design to look like, and then when I get everything cut up and put together and start working on it, I don't like it, so I change it and I pick out something different. Okay. I've mentioned in my other videos, but I wanted to mention this is such a massive project. I do try to stick to a color scheme of 3 colors. I'm not always able to do that, but that's a guideline that I try to follow. And of course in this one we have the green, the white, and the gold. Now you can do different variations on those colors. Like for example, I have the dark green and the light green here, which gives you more contrast. Okay, so this is the magnificent beauty so far. Not sure if it's all in the camera angle at one time or not. Let's measure our width here and see what we have so far. Okay, so from the tips of our mesh over to the tip of this mesh, it's about 29 inches. So 29, 30 inches with the mesh. And we're going to be adding lots more goodies to this, of course. And then quickly, I'm going to try to count and give you an estimate of how many pieces of mesh that I use. So I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So about 24 on the outside. Oh Lord, I don't know if I can count these. They're all running together. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, about 20 in the second row. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 or 18. I lost my starting point over here in the inner ring. So 24, 20, 44, 34, about 42 pieces. So if you're using, in this case I use 4 different colors. Make sure you, if you're starting with 42 pieces, cut an even number of each color and shade that you're using. And so that's how you will get started. These, if you want it to look like this with the color disbursement and the patches of colors, these were cut to between 16 and 17 inches long. Okay. Now, I think next, I don't know whether to place my sign and then do my bow, or do my bow and then do my sign. So I know I'm going to cut this hanger off the top of the sign. So I'll go ahead and do that. And remember, you can do this project with pretty much any sign, any St. Patrick's Day sign, or if you do a different theme, any sign. And I haven't decided if I'm going to leave it intact and attach it, or if I'm going to cut it apart and attach it in 2 parts. But I'm liking the way that it looks, laying off to the right here. I'm going to actually stand up for this part so I can see the overall design. Yeah, I might put it to the right and up a little, or maybe center it. Not quite sure yet. I think we'll go ahead and do a bow for over here. We're going to do a really large bow for this because this is massive. I didn't tell you the depth. The depth of the wreath is, at this point, it's about 8 inches deep without anything else added to it, including, that did not include the sign, so 8 inches just with the mesh. Okay, yeah, I think I'll lay the sign aside. I'll lay our beautiful base that we have started aside. Just to give you, I'll flip it over here and show you what it looks like from the back as well. Okay. So for now, we're going to lay this back here. And we'll work on a bow. I'm going to use my easy bow maker. It's so much easier for me than trying to hold all the ribbon with my hands. I see so many crafters do it all in their hands. I think that's such a talent, but not one that I share. Okay, so we have lots of ribbons we're going to use in the bow. I'll go over those real quick in case anyone wants to get these ribbons or something similar used in their project. Okay, so I'm going to start at the base of my bow with this black and white stripe. It has gold edging on the outside of it. Now black is not one of my colors, but black always makes a good accent color. So having some ribbons with black in it is always a good idea. This ribbon is Member's Mark. It came from Sam's Club. I believe this was in their Christmas ribbon, but you can get this black and white stripe pattern from almost any craft store. I'm sure Craft Outlet has it as well. If you just Google search, there's a number of other craft warehouse like Deco Exchange and other places that will probably carry ribbons similar to this. May even find it on Amazon. Just be careful on Amazon with ribbon and do some price comparisons, because a lot of time I know people will buy this, buy ribbon from Craft Outlet and put it on Amazon for double the price or triple the price. So make sure you're checking that. Okay, so this is going to be the first layer of our ribbon, and I'll go ahead and just cover them as I put them in. Now I'm going to start with a super long tail. The bow maker has inch measurement markers on both sides to help me measure my tails and my loops. So on this easy bow maker, there's 8 inches to this part right here and 8 inches from the center to this part right here. So I'm actually going to make my tail, I'm going to make it significantly longer than 8 inches. I'm not even sure how exactly long that is. I don't have a cutting mat, so I just use the measurements on here. And then I know I want a pretty long tail, so I'm just going to, it's better to have too much than not enough. I can always cut it off, but I can't add it to later. So for now, I'm just going to put a bunch over there. Make it really long. Okay. Just give you an idea, in case you're doing this yourself. I have that tail at about 16 inches right now. Okay. Now this ribbon has a pretty side and a not so pretty side. So we're going to twist in the middle right here. Where before we make our first loop, we're going to give it a good twist. Put the not so pretty side down. Now this easy bow maker, if you purchase one of these, which they have, Hobby Lobby has them, any craft stores have them. I think Deco Exchange has them. Craft Outlet may have them. I definitely seen them on Deco Exchange's website today, so I know they have them. It does come with another pipe here, or wooden dowel here, to place your ribbon roll on. I did not like it. It was in too close proximity to me where I was trying to work with my bows, so I just got rid of that. But if you wanted that, then maybe it is helpful to some. Okay, so I'm going to make my first loop here, 8 inches. So I'm going for what will be a total overall 16-inch bow. So I'm going to pull that out there and pull it to the 8-inch. Now again, I'm going to need to twist right here in the middle and put the not so pretty side up so that when I come back around with my next loop, my pretty side will be on the outside of my loop. And I'm going to do 8 inches on that side. Okay. And this is going to be a pretty massive bow. I'm using a lot of ribbons. So I'm only going to do two loops. And then I'm going to try something new. I seen this in a video that somebody else did. I have never done it before. But I'm going to try doing one long tail on one side, and I'm going to keep this other tail shorter. And I'll show you why I think that might be a good idea based on what I watched another crafter do. I don't remember which crafter it was. I think all of them do it, but it was the creative coaches with Deco Exchange that I've seen do this, and it gave me the idea. Okay, so I'm done with that ribbon. Now before we started, I dovetailed the first end of the ribbon. I also pre-cut our ribbon tails and dovetailed those. But don't worry, we're going to learn dovetailing because when we cut off our other ends, we're going to have to dovetail each of those. So I'll be going over that with you as well in this video. Now, since I did this one shorter, and it's past my 8-inch mark, let me give you an approximate measurement. Okay, right now I have this at about 12 inches. Okay. Now, when we get done, I may clip a bunch of that off, I don't know. But I want to have it there, and I want to try this different technique with the longer tail and the shorter tail. Okay, so next up, I am using this super cute, I got this on Amazon. I bought a 3-pack of ribbon on there, and this was included with it. If anybody's interested in this ribbon, just let me know. I can go through my order history, give you a link to it so that you can purchase it. It's got the little leprechauns, different style leprechauns, green beer mugs, orangish yellow beer mugs, shamrocks, plaid pattern in the background. Super cute. Now, I did not dovetail the end of this one, so I'll go ahead and show you how I do that with this ribbon. Fold it in half, putting the wired edges together and even them up. Do a little crease on the folded side, and then you're just going to cut at an angle from the folded side up to the wired side. got a little wire sticking out, so I'm going to clip that off. And then when you open it up, you have a beautiful finished end. And that's just called dovetailing. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with this ribbon. I'm going to just use my underlying tail that I have here. I'm going to lay this ribbon out and just kind of match it up to make it the same length. This also has a pretty side and a not so pretty side. So I'm going to have to twist this right here where my tail starts. Put it back down in there. Make sure that you keep all this ribbon pushed down in here very good because we're going to be adding a lot. Okay, so then we're going to do our first loop. This one also is going to be 8 inches. Okay, and I need to twist it right here, so I'm going to scrunch it and twist it. That's easier for me. And then just place it right back down in there. Double check that I didn't mess up my loop size. Now we're going to do one more loop on the other side, also 8 inches. And when you start getting your ribbon piled up so high that you can't see the measurements underneath, which I already can't see them, you can just use the loops underneath to guide you to making sure that you're getting the size you want. I want these 2 loops to be the same size as the first 2 loops that I did. So I'm going to have 4 loops at 8 inches on each side. And then again on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use this tail to kind of guide me to where I need to clip this. Okay. We don't want to waste our ribbon by cutting off too much, but when you're designing a bigger project like this, I feel that I would waste less by erring on the side of leaving myself some extra length and clipping that off later than if I had to redo the whole thing. Time is money, so you know, that little bit of ribbon, you just have to do the cost-benefit analysis, and to me, I'm going to choose to leave that little bit of extra ribbon. Okay, now this ribbon from Amazon is like a canvas material, so you can see it's holding its shape very good. It's very thick. This ribbon from Sam's is more of a satin material. Not my favorite to work with, but it is pretty and adds some nice color to our bow. Next, I am going to come in with just a little bit of gold. This is Member's Mark. This is a Sam's ribbon as well. I think I also bought this at Christmas time, but I do know that Craft Outlet carries a very similar ribbon because I have purchased it from them before. This is a more sheer, thinner ribbon, which I'm finding to be a common theme with the Sam's Club ribbon. It says premium ribbon, which it is beautiful. It's very well made, very durable, but it does tend to be more sheer and thinner. One thing when you go to Sam's to buy ribbon is that they do have sample swatches hanging on the display, the ribbon display. So make sure that you take a look at and feel the texture and look at it outside of the package, so that you are making sure you're getting what you expect. Because sometimes that can look much different than it does inside the package. For example, this roll, inside the roll looks like a solid gold, but it's not, it's sheer. Okay, now this ribbon is the same on both sides. I don't have to do the twist in the middle for this one. I can just put it straight down in there and then come back with my loop. Now on this loop, I am going to come in just a little bit, probably about a ½ inch smaller than the first loops I did, the first 2 loops. And I'm just gauging it by the loop underneath at this point. So then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing on this side. Now for this project, I liked the sheerness of this gold. I did have some more solid gold, but I didn't want the gold to be, overwhelming or overpowering. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this tail out and probably cut off pretty close to the same length as the others, maybe a ½ inch shorter. then my next ribbon is, ooh, almost messed up, is this really cute Let's Cheers with Beers ribbon. And I thought that went really well with our beer sign. I've already dovetailed the first end. I try to do some of this before the live to make it go a little faster since there is so much to this. Okay, and I'm just measuring that one out there really long like I did the first ones. Now this ribbon, ooh, got to be careful. Don't pull the ribbon that you've already done out. Keep that pushed in. I'm actually going to take my scissors and use that to help me hold that down. Find out where you want your tail to be. Make sure you got the length that you want, and then we're going to have to scrunch this and turn it. And the reason is because we have a pretty side, not so pretty side. We always want the pretty side up. Now I can move my scissors, hold that with my fingers, and push this in. Okay, now I'm going to come out here and do another big loop. I'm going to try to keep this loop the same size as the gold one. So I'm doing each layer with 2 loops, 4 total loops, trying to keep those the same size. So the first 2 ribbons give her our first 4 loops, and then the second 2 ribbons give us our next 4 loops. Okay, so put this, try to get this positioned, and then I have to twist it. Okay, that looks about the same. So now I have to scrunch this and twist it to keep my pretty side up. Okay. Be careful when you're pulling and adjusting your ribbon that you're not pulling your loops in. Okay, so now we need a loop of the beer ribbon on the other side. Here we don't need to twist because we're just going to pull it straight out and cut off the tail. So we just need to make sure that we have our loop the size that we want. Looks about right. So I push that down there and then pull this over to pull this tail out. And I want it to be about the same as the gold. Before I do that, I'm not going to let go of this ribbon in the middle. I'm going to use my scissors to hold that in there. Well, no, I shouldn't have done that. I need my scissors to cut my ribbon. I'm going to use this hole punch to hold my ribbon in there. And I'm just going to come out to right about where I cut that gold off. I don't want to cut through beers, so I'm going to cut under beers. Okay. All right, now, believe it or not, I have 4 more that I want to put in here. All of the ribbons that we had used to this point, I think I forgot to mention, were 2.5-inch ribbons. And now I'm going to switch to 1.5 inch. So the next 4 will all be 1.5 inch. And I've already dovetailed our first end. Okay. Now both sides of this ribbon are the same, so we do not have to worry about that twisting in the middle. Pull out our tail to where we want it. Push this down. Now that I'm doing a new set of 4 loops, I'm going to come in about 1/2 inch again from the last loops that I did. Right there. I didn't mention this also is a Sam's Club ribbon. Probably Christmas, because I hit Sam's Club's clearance price. They do 50% off on their ribbon. Their ribbon is normally around $8. So when they do $8 for 50 yards. So when they do 50% off, you get $4 for 50 yards of ribbon. So even though some of their ribbons are thinner, not all of them are, some of them are, it's still a great value. And it's great for filler ribbons and things like that. Now this particular ribbon, it is a little bit see-through, but it's more like a canvas material. So it is thicker, it is stiffer, and it will hold its form better. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off just about where those other ones are. Okay, and then next, big, next I'm going to come in with this dark green. And here's something I want to show you for demonstration purposes. I recently ordered, I hit up Sam's Club for their spring collection, and then I also ordered a bunch of ribbon from Craft Outlet. What I basically did was I hit up Sam's because it's $7.98 a roll for 50 yards, and then I went on Craft Outlet for the colors and shades that I needed that I could not find at Sam's. And this Kelly green was one of the colors that I needed from Craft Outlet. So I had all these ribbons, and they came in the mail shortly after I purchased Sam's, and I had them laying side by side. And so this is the Sam's Club roll, and this is Craft Outlet. So even though this is a thicker, more quality ribbon, it seems to me that Craft Outlet still has a much thicker version. I even thought about doing a test to make sure that they have 50 yards, but I noticed like this one, the Craft Outlet one, has more give, so it doesn't seem to be packed as tightly, and the Sam's Club is more firm, so it probably is just packed in there tightly. But that was something that stood out to me when I was putting all my new ribbons away. Well, not away, they're still not put away. Putting them together. Okay, this one we need to dovetail the end. Fold it in half. Crease on the folded side. Cut at an angle from the folded side up towards the wired side or the open side. This is our dovetail. Now this ribbon is the same on both sides. And then I was going to also mention, if you wanted to get this from Craft Outlet, the number is RC500006, and the beer ribbon, I think this was, this is a canvas, very high quality. I think it's painted. The design is painted on. I think I paid $8.95 for this roll, so it is a little more pricey. But the number on it is RGC125706. And this is a 10-yard roll. Now this green, I think I paid between $11 and $12 for this. It is a good quality. It's not really as sheer as the other ribbon. It's like a canvas material, so it's not satin. Satin to me is hard to work with, hard to get it to stand up when you put it in bows and things like that. So I just wanted to mention and give you guys those numbers, and that, again, that's craftoutlet.com. is where I got those. Oh, I didn't need to do the twist. Okay, I'm going to do my long tail. Come back and do my loop. Now this loop is going to be the same as the first 1.5 inch loop I did. And then these two and the two on the other side are going to give us our third set of 4 loops. Just matching those up, making sure those two are about the same. Pull the ribbon tail out here. Repurpose my hole punch again. And cut off my tail. Okay. Oh Lord, we've already been an hour at this. Okay. So next, I'm going to use this very beautiful black with a black and white edging. I thought that pattern went really good with St. Patrick's Day, as well as our sign has some black in it and, you know, black and white design. So I also got this at Craft Outlet. This one is 1.5 inch, and I think it was $4.95 or somewhere in that range. The number for it is RG0885502. Now this is going to start a new set of 4 loops. So this one I will bring in about 1/2 inch shorter than the last set of loops. Now this has a pretty side and a not so pretty side. Well, no, it's the same on both sides. So we do not need to do the twist in the middle to keep the pretty side up. We can just come out here and make our loops and come straight back through. I'm going to come in just a little bit smaller than those last ones. I'm coming in about 1/2 inch. Every time I come in on a new set of 4 loops, I come in about 1/2 inch. And I'm just measuring that by eye, looking at the last loops that I did that are directly underneath. Okay. Pull this tail out. This thing is packed full of ribbon. I'm going to need to repurpose my hole punch again. I already dovetailed this in. This is a shiny metallic lime green. It's a little bit sheer, but still a lot of flash and color in it. It came from Sam's. And it is, all these rolls at Sam's are 50 yards. $8 a piece. If you catch them on clearance immediately after the season, you can get them 50% off. Okay. And so we're going to come out here. I'm keeping all of these tails. Honestly, I did not come in on the tails at all. I'm probably just going to cut off the excess at the end when I decide exactly how I want it to look. So I kept all those fairly long. As you can see on this end, I'm doing the same thing on the other end. They're all longer, and I'm probably going to cut some of that off once I see how it looks on my wreath with some of my other items placed on. Okay, this is the same on both sides. So again, we can just flip it over, make our loop. Whoops, I pulled. Now this ribbon is a little slippery. Got to make sure that I'm not, shortening my tail by accident. And pull this through. Make sure that these 2 loops are the same. Do the same thing on the other side. These are our next set of 4. We're doing the 3rd and 4th loop of the next set of 4. Okay, that looks good. Keep this pushed tight in the middle. If you lose all this, you lose all this time, all this work, and you have to start all over trying to fit these cut pieces of ribbon back in there exactly the way that you wanted them. Okay. Now I think I'm going to come in. This is the one that we started with. It has the beer mugs and stuff on it. So I think I'm going to come back in with it and do a couple, like 1 on each side loops, so that I have some of this beer mug leprechaun St. Patrick's Day pattern on the top. I wish I had a 1.5 inch ribbon to use there to do this, but we will make the 2.5 inch ribbon work. So again, I'm going to do long tail, maybe not quite as long on this one. Okay, I want the tail to be right there, so I'm going to scrunch it, and then I have to twist it, because remember, we have to keep the pretty side down when we're starting our loop, so that when we loop around, the pretty side will show. So here we have the pretty side down. the loop, we'll bring the pretty side up, and I'm going to come in from those last 2 loops we did. I'm going to come in about another 1/2 inch. And then we're going to have to twist that again to get the pretty side face down. Okay, keeping this all nice and secure in the middle. And this is why I cannot hold these bows in my hands. There's no way that I could do that. I love this Easy Bow Maker. It was a gift from my daughter, Shauna, and I love it. Okay, so come in about a 1/2 inch on that loop, and now we're just going to come out here and make another tail. I am going to use this to hold that. Make sure it holds it before you let go. And then I'm just going to snip this off, probably right about there. Okay, that is a lot of ribbon. So let's turn around here and show you guys. This is the stack of ribbon that we've created in there. And we are going to have to carefully pull this off and hold this together while we successfully put a zip tie around it. And I'm going to grab a longer zip tie. Had my short zip ties there, but I realized with how much ribbon that we have, that's not going to work too well. I have clear and black. I think I'll use black because we do have black in the design. Okay, so we are going to have to hold all of this together tightly in the middle. I'm trying to do this to where you can see. We have to make sure that we get up under all this ribbon on that side and hold underneath all of the ribbon on the other side and hold. And we're just going to slowly work it straight up, making sure that we're keeping that held together in the middle. Be careful, do not let it slip and slide. Go around it with the zip tie. Still making sure that you're careful not to let go of that ribbon or to let it slide. This is a bit challenging. But I can do it, I promise. So can you. Just takes patience. Okay. So now I've got my zip tie started. I'm just going to take my finger and push it down because we have to get that as tight as possible to keep all that ribbon exactly the way we placed it. And I am going to pull it super tight. Okay, and this is the beginning of our bow. So I'm going to come in here with my teeny wire cutters. I'm going to snip off that pipe cleaner. I'll do it from this angle, you can see. I'll snip it off close to the base down there as I can. And then I'm going to push this little part that I just cut off around if I can. It's pretty tight. There, push it to the back. Okay, now to attach this to our wreath, we are going to need super long, super long pipe cleaner. I only have the standard size here. They do make a 20-inch. I've only seen those at craft stores. So to find the 20-inch, you probably have to go to a craft store. I'm just going to show you how I do this and make a long one. So I'm going to overlap the edges here, kind of in an X, and then I'm going to start wrapping that one around and wrapping this one around, and I'm just going to twist and twist and twist those together. And once I get them all the way, the ends to where they're wrapped together and look like one piece, I'm still going to keep twisting that to make sure it's nice and snug. And now you can pull as hard as you want to, and that is not going to come apart. And now we have a super duper long pipe cleaner. So we're going to come right around where we put the zip tie, pull the pipe cleaner to the back of our bow. Even up our ends back here. And this pipe cleaner also hides that zip tie in the event that it would be visible. Not likely with the size of this bow though. And I'm just going to give it a bunch of twists back here. Make sure it's on there good. Okay, so now we have these with which we can use to attach it to our wreath. I'm going to move the Easy Bow Maker. We're going to bring the monstrous design back. And I go ahead and attach the bow. And then I might end today right here and start tomorrow with attaching the sign. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and get this big old bow on there. Okay, so I want to find where my longest tails are. Okay, these are my shorter ones. Whew, hard to show this. These are my shorter ones, and I've got my longer ones down this way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this, I'm going to do it off to the side of the wreath. Again, I'm going to stand up so that I can see the overall wreath. I think I'm going to put it on the side, but up a little bit. So not perfectly in the middle of the side, but on the left side and up. So I think I'm going to place right about in here. Okay, and I'm going to have the longest tails hanging down towards the bottom. This will be the bottom of our wreath. Okay, so let's see if our pipe cleaner is long enough. Oh yes. We're just going to reach down through all that mesh, get down to the frame, the metal bar, one of the inside metal bar of the frame. And of course I'm right over top of the battery pack, so I'm going to have to go beside it. I think I almost have it down through there. Okay, let's lift it up here and look and see. Well, thought I almost had it. All right. Let's try that again. Maybe I can do it easier if I'm watching what I'm doing. Doing this, I can tell you, that pipe cleaner is long enough. I'm able to get it down here, but there's not a lot of extra. I've got the two ends of the pipe cleaner here, and I'm going to twist them around. This, I actually said the inside bar, but I ended up at the outside bar. It was easier for me to work it down through to here. So if you wanted to, and I would suggest that you maybe make them a little longer. Now that I've turned it back over and looked here, you see my bow placement has gotten shifted around and it's not positioned down in there the way that I wanted it. So I'm going to kind of let it nestle down in there in some of that mesh. Make sure it's where I want it to lay. And then we're going to twist our pipe cleaner now to secure our bow in there. I'm going to twist good 10 to 15 times. That's my personal preference. I just like to make sure that things are very secure. This video may turn into a 3-part series. I'm not sure. We'll see. See how far we get tomorrow. We're going to be starting with the sign. We may finish it tomorrow. If it goes to 3 parts, I'll certainly announce that in tomorrow's video. Okay, now once I twist that together, I twisted all the way to the end because that was all the extra that I had. I'm going to wrap it around this bar here and push it up to the inside so the wires inside that pipe cleaner will not scratch my door or somebody else's door, especially a customer's door. Okay, and then we need to fluff our bow. So I'm going to start with the loops, and I'm going to start with the bottom 2 loops that we did, and I'm just going to pull them out in different directions so that I can try to make all these beautiful ribbons that we used visible. So I did the black to the inside here and the leprechaun to the outside. So I'm going to come to the other side and flip these up, and I'm going to do the opposite. Do the black to this side and the green to the inside. Okay, so now we'll go to our next set of 4, which is going to be our gold and our green beer. And I actually want, I'm going to do these the other way. I want, well, no, I like the green, the dark green. I'm going to do the dark green to the outside and the gold to the inside. Come back over here and do the opposite. So over here, we're going to have the gold to the outside and the green to the inside. And you've got this bow secured very well with a pipe cleaner and everything tied down very well. So do not be afraid to tug and pull on these to get your bow to lay the way you want it to. So our next 2 are going to be the dark green and the lighter color. So I'm going to put the dark green towards the inside and the lighter towards the outside. And I'm actually going to come even further around with those. Come over to this side and do the same. Now I have to switch these. Dark green to the outside, the lighter color to the inside. And then our next 2 are the black and the metallic green. Let's see. I have the black to the outside over here. So I'm going to go black to the inside. So my bottom black is to this side. So I'm going to do it the opposite. Do the black to the inside and the metallic green to the outside. And do the opposite on the other end. Black to the outside and the metallic lime green to the inside. Okay. And then we're going to take our 2 little loops here, which it looks like I shorted myself on this one. So I'm going to try to give that a real hard pull. There we go. And fluff those up in the middle. And now we got our little leprechauns and beer mugs on the top here. And then these ends are all dovetailed at the bottom because we did that as we went. So I'm just going to take my fingers, hope that you can see this on camera, and I'm going to run them down my ribbons. And you see how it gives it that nice little curl? That way they curl under, they look nice and fluffy. Now we will readjust and refluff this bow, goodness only knows how many more times as we work on this. Because when we add other elements, we're going to be changing things, moving things around. And then, you know, of course, we'll want to work with making sure that our bow is full all the way around. It's not something I'm going to pay a whole lot of attention to right now, because I know that when we're working on this, we'll have to do that all over again. So it'd be kind of doubling our work to do it now. But literally, just running your fingers down the pieces of ribbon gives you that nice bow type look. I may end up curling some of these ribbons to give them like a spiral look. We'll decide that later, and hopefully maybe I'll have people watching that can help me decide together. I'm also not going to shorten or trim my tails now until I see where my sign placement is going to be, and then we'll decide how we want the tails to lay and how much to cut off. Just to give you an idea though, these shorter tails up here, we'll probably cut those off and have some of them laying all in different directions, filling in between all of our various loops. So, okay, I think I'm going to leave it right there for now. Let's see, before I go, how thick is this with the bow? We are now up to 10 inches deep. So, and we've probably added another inch or so to the width. So we're at about probably 30, 31 inches wide and 10 inches deep so far on this monstrous, beautiful design. Okay. Granny is watching with me. Aw. Well, some parts of it are easy for me. Some are not so easy. It's all learning. I'm still learning. I love crafting because there's a lot to learn, and there's so much that you can do. It's unending and amazing. I have so many ideas in my head for designs that I want to do. It is time consuming though. Hey Marlene. Hi Laura. Thank you, Brian. Yes, I think this color combination works really well together. Let's lay our sign over here. You know, I think that all, I think it's going to come together nicely. After we place our sign tomorrow, just to give you a little preview, we're going to start adding in some of this beautiful greenery. So we've got these gigantic palm leaves, various tones and colors of greenery and berries, which are all caught together. We have some clovers, some clover greenery to go with our St. Patrick's Day theme. We have this that has some white berries to add in some color. And then we have this greenery that has little mini white flowers on the end to give us another little dash of color throughout our wreath. And then the little clovers come in different shades of green. So that's what we'll be doing after we attach the sign. So I think that that's it. Does anybody have any questions or anything? If you watch this on the replay, please be sure to comment replay, hashtag replay underneath to let me know that you did get to see it, and give me any feedback or suggestions that you have as I continue on with this design. Thank you guys so much for watching me. Don't forget, if you haven't already, enter my giveaway. There will be 3 winners, so increases your chances of winning, and it helps me grow my business, which I really appreciate. So thank you guys so much. And you guys have a good evening, and I'm going to go grab me a bite to eat, and then I'll be back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and we'll pick up right where I've left off. All right, have a good night.